and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be doing my February wrap up. It feels like it's been forever since I filmed anything. I pre-recorded my March TBR video, so that would go out at the end of February. And then I had a work trip that last week of February, so I was like, oh, I'll come back. I'll film this like February wrap up and it'll be great. I was so dead tired when I got back from that trip that I literally could not find the motivation to even try. So I decided to just scrap the other video that was supposed to happen this month and just go ahead and do a week of no video and then the February wrap up, because these are my favorite videos to film. I love recounting what I'm reading. So I feel like I'll just go ahead and do that. Call it good. February was not my reading month though. So I don't know why I was really gung ho to film the wrap up video, because yeah, I'm wrapping it up, but it's also girl, what is there to wrap? It wasn't great. It wasn't very good. I think I read 7 books. Yes, I read 7 books. We started out really strong. The first book we read last month was amazing. And then it went downhill, and then it picked up again, and then I got sick and read the same book for 2 weeks and then went back down. So let's get on with it. Let's get started. So the first book that we picked up in the month of February was The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. This one was featured in my reading books that are going to feel like my favorite songs video. And I loved this. I had such a good time. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like I was kicking my feet, giggling. The banter was bantering. The main qualm that I have, and I say this in my reading books that feel like my favorite songs, my main qualm that I had with this is that they refer to each other in their own point of view as their last name. So she calls him his last name, he calls her her last name, but it's third person point of view. So you don't hear I felt this way, I thought this, I did this. It's the girl's name did this, the boy's name did this. And so it got kind of jumbled up and confusing, because they each kind of have 2 names that they go by. And I just felt like that threw me off just a little bit, but I was doing immersive reading and I absolutely loved it. I feel like the end was super satisfying and kind of opens up where the world building can go, and the more broad story that we're trying to tell here. Because right now we're literally just focusing on these 2. She is a part of the healer faction, and he is a part of the kind of assassin bad guys faction in their society. And he has something called Saith Rot, and so his magic is dying. And once you don't serve his faction anymore, you're useless. So he's going to die if his powers don't work. And she used to practice a holistic kind of medicine approach, and that might be the only way to fix whatever the hell is wrong with him. So he reaches out to her, kind of bribes her a little bit. She's like, yeah, if you give my university, child hospital, whatever money, because all these kids are dying of this pox, and it's only kids that can get this pox. And so she's like, yeah, if you give us money to research the pox, I'll cure you. I'll help you. Thinking he's not going to do it. And then he does. So I really liked this. I had such a good time. I really liked them as characters. I feel like they were really well fleshed out. And like I said, had a lot of good, smart, witty banter. A part of me kind of wishes I was an annotator kind of girly, so I could annotate this copy and reread it and go back on it and look at some of the funny little jabs that they get in. But I'm not big on annotation. I like my books to look pristine and pretty and no writing and nothing messed up in them at all. So that's why I'm not a big annotator, but I feel like if I were an annotator, I would have annotated this and had such a good time. The sequel comes out, I believe, later this summer. I think it's June or July. I don't know, but I have it pre-ordered. So when a book randomly shows up at my house, the chances are to be this one. So we liked that one. That one was definitely our strong start to the month. And then they start to kind of taper down. They didn't get real bad, but they also weren't great. So the next book that we picked up was Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. This one I ended up giving a 4 star, and I still think that might be a little generous. I think I'm just a hater. I don't know if I hyped it up in my mind. I don't know if the TV show influenced other people to like it more, but I just could not get into this. I think I might be too much of a emotion-based connection person, that I like reading when their emotions are already tied before they have any physical attraction. And this just felt every scene that wasn't them being intimate with each other was a vehicle to introduce another character that'll show up somewhere else in the series. And the only times our two main characters are interacting is to bang, basically. Which, like, I mean, I guess I get it, but also I was like, I don't like it here. I just was not grasping it. And like the way that it ends, like I understand that there are more books following these two, but I was really truly hoping for it to be like this is their happy ending, and then book two of them is going to be, you know, like a new conflict, and that their relationship wouldn't continue to be the conflict. Like I just don't like that. I think that might be my big gripe with it. So yeah, 4 stars, and that feels kind of generous. I don't know. I kind of want to continue to read on and read the second book just to see if I might like that one better. But I just had like such a like mad time. I mean, I did finish it like in one sitting. Like I literally started it and like couldn't put it down because I was waiting for what everyone else was talking about. Like I just was not getting it. So I just kept reading to see like when it would happen, when I would get it. Never. Never. I never got it. So I don't know. I'm glad that everyone else is having a really great time. I'm glad everyone else is really loving it. It was okay. It was just okay. Heated Rivalry was also in my video about books that I think would be kind of inspired by my favorite songs. And this was the last book that ended up making it into that video because I just didn't finish the other book I thought it might work. But so Long Live Evil, I ended up giving this one, I believe, 4.5 stars. No, I gave it 5 stars. I might knock that down to 4.75 just because there were a few little qualms that I had with this book. We are following Ray as she gets an offer to be transported into like her favorite book of all time. And in doing so, she becomes like the villain in the story. So she kind of pops up as this villain is like supposed to be getting prepared for like execution or whatever. And she talks them out of it. And she convinces them that she's like a psychic because having already read the book, she kind of knows these major plot points, but she doesn't remember a ton of the details. Her sister made her read the first book like when they were younger, and she did just kind of like appease her sister. But then she got diagnosed with cancer and started getting more into the series. And so she's been following, you know, like the later books in the series, like the second book onward, and just like never went back and reread the first one. I imagine it's kind of like an ACOTAR situation where it's like, yeah, ACOTAR's there, you have to read ACOTAR, but Court and Mist and Fury is everybody's favorite. Like that's where it's hitting. So I imagine it's one of those situations. And so she is like transported in this world and she notices that things are just like a little bit off. And she's trying to figure out like why things are happening at like the wrong times. Like she like knew that there was supposed to be like an attack of some sort, but like it's supposed to happen like way after when it actually happens. So she's like, I don't know why like it happened then when it should have happened, you know, in like 12 chapters. It's like that kind of thing. And so we're following Ray as she's trying to figure out what's going on in this world, why it's like a little out of time, but also as she's trying to like get back home. Cause like this is not her body, this is not her life. Like she just wants to like be back home. I did really like the twist at the end of this, but it was a little bit difficult to follow the plot of the book that she's referencing. Time of Iron is the books that she gets put into. Like that's the name of the series for these physical books, but it's also the name of the series that she gets like put into. And I think that it would have been a little bit more beneficial if either Time of Iron was like a prequel book that you could read, or if book 2 is how Time of Iron is supposed to go, because it just got a little bit confusing following what's actually happening in this book, but her comparing it to what should be happening. And I feel like there were a couple of little moments where I was like, wait a second, is this supposed to happen before or after the ball? Because in this book, it happened after and it was supposed to happen before. And so I think that it might just be like a little bit better if we had like some frame of reference of like the major plot points of the first book before going in, or maybe like a little bit of a confirmation after, instead of Ray, whose memory of the first book is not great. Like she'll even admit, she's like, yeah, like a bunch of the characters from the first book go through major character developments later on in the series, so I don't like the first book. And so like I get it. I understand where Ray's coming from not liking the first book. But I also really wish that we could experience the first book and know what the hell she's talking about, because we don't, you know? But I overall really liked it. I think Ray was a really good character. She was super fun. this was inspired by All American Bitch, and I feel like that is what Ray like exemplified. She used to be a cheerleader. She's from Oklahoma. Like, she is that girl. And like, this is her like taking that back because she's been sick for so many years, like since being that girl. And she kind of had to like come back into her own with this. And I really did enjoy that. It was kind of fun rooting for the villain, even if she wasn't the villain. Like, she doesn't mean to be mean, but like, she kind of has to. She kind of has to play the role. And so she was doing these bad things, but with good intentions. And I think that that was also a really fun like way to see like her morally grayness come out, because it wasn't necessarily morally gray. She just couldn't be like on the right side of things, if that makes sense. So I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time. Like I said, I put it down as 5 stars. I might change to 4.75 just because I do really wish we had gotten the original book that Ray talks about and like that Ray has read and where these characters are from. I think that also would have made me like other characters more earlier on. Like in this book, like we obviously are getting Ray's inflection of what these characters are like in those later books, but they're very different in these first books. Like she's even mentioned, like, oh, I forgot that this person was like this during the first 2 books. And then in the third book, they have their arc and they're way different. And it's like, okay, well, like you literally said that you love that character and they're your favorite, but in this book, they're shit. And I'm just supposed to roll with it. So yeah, that was kind of the interesting part of it all, was that like I wish we knew that first book and what happened in that first book. But overall, I did really like this book and getting to experience the story through Ray's point of view. And like I said, the twist was super worth it. I'm super excited for book 2. The next book that we picked up was Ride With Me by Simone Saltani. This is the one that I was reading for well over a week while I was sick. I literally had like 20 pages left and like was just like so sick. I was reading like 2 pages at a time. And so overall, really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars. It is the sequel to Cross the Line. And I think that the way that these connect, like with Cross the Line, because they are like fellow F1 drivers, is the guys, and then the girls, like it is his like PR manager. And then this girl is like a baker who is the girl in the first book who's a PR manager. It's her like favorite bakery owner. And so like, it's a little bit weird how they're connected, but they're connected. Does that make sense? But yes, this one is an F1 marriage of convenience. We're following Stella and Thomas, who meet at a joint bachelorette party for Stella's cousin, like almost immediately after Stella's engagement fails. Like she's supposed to get married and the wedding gets called off. Like all this crazy drama is happening. And so she's trying to prove to all of her family that she's totally fine. She's totally good. She's A-okay. And she meets Thomas. Well, they get drunk. They get married in Vegas and they decide to just stick it out. Stella decides, okay, well, I'm going to look worse if I like get divorced immediately. Like everyone's going to know something's like really wrong because they can't get it annulled because other people have found out. And so Thomas is an F1 driver and he has had a couple of clips of him like go, I guess, viral, of him like saying bad things about a fellow driver who ended up getting hurt like in an accident. And so a lot of people are like siding with this hurt driver and being like, oh my God, Thomas was so mean to him. Like Thomas is the bad guy. It's like he comes out looking like not great. And so they decide to like go ahead and ride this out. They decide to stick together and see how this goes. I really enjoyed it. I was having such a good time. Marriage of Convenience is one of my favorite tropes. I don't read it nearly enough. Like I want to read it all the time. But I was having such a good time with this. It did drag a little bit in the middle for me. There's a point where they go to Thomas's like family home for like the holidays. And I felt like they were just there for a little bit too long. Like I was just over here like, I don't know about y'all, but like my Christmas is just the day. Like I'm not spending like 3 weeks with my family. Like that sounds like a lot of work. And so it seemed like they were just like there a little bit too long. We also get to like meet his extended family and kind of see like why he is the way that he is. And we also get to see like how Stella interacts with people and how she's like had to change herself so much for her ex-fiance. And like now she's able to like be herself and like she's fitting in so much better now than she ever did in her old life. And so I think that that was like to show that. And I respect it and I get it, but it also was like, there was a point where I was like, okay, let's get going. Let's keep getting it going. Let's go. And they also decide like, because they're staying in this marriage of convenience, but they don't want feelings to be involved because they eventually do want to get divorced. Like they're going to stay in this marriage of convenience for like a year or two and then like say that their travel scheduling just got like the best of them or something like that. And so they decide they're not going to like have feelings for each other. So there's no kissing, no PDA, like no nothing, unless like people are watching. That's the only time they're gonna hold hands or hug or kiss or any of that. And so like there was like a ton of them going back and forth at like his family home of like if they like can kiss if like only one person's around, or if they should be able to hold hands to like comfort each other when no one's around, like that kind of thing. And I feel like that was like just a little drawn out in the middle, just a little. But I overall really liked it. I really like Stella. I really like Thomas. And the third book in this got announced, and it is another driver on this like F1 circuit with, I believe it's a rival principal's daughter. So it's like a rivals kind of thing. But I'm super excited to see where the third one in this goes, because it follows a character that we know a little bit better than Thomas. Thomas and the other F1 driver like literally just knew each other from being in like the circuit. The next main male character that we're going to get is like very good friends with Thomas and with the first MMC in the series from Cross the Line. So instead of it being like, oh, like I know him kind of loosely, he seems like a good guy, being their relationship, it's going to be like, oh, that's my friend. Like that's someone I'm cool with. That's like my dude. So I'm really excited to see kind of how that goes. I don't really know how many books we're going to be getting in the series. Like that's my other thing, is like, I knew that there were 2 when I picked up Cross the Line. And so I'm like glad that we're getting a third, but it's also like, who else can we pull from? Who else we're going to get introduced to? Because we've also met 2 new drivers in this book because of like who is on Thomas's team and who Thomas is close with. So I don't know if we're going to get like books from their point of view. I think that would be really fun. And I could live in this world forever, because I do think it's actually really fun and really cool. And I just like F1 romances. So I would be okay with that. As much as I loved Ride With Me, that book took way too long to finish. So the second that I finished it and was feeling like a little bit more like myself and a little bit better, I decided, okay, we're gonna try to plow through as many books as possible and like finish books super, super fast. We didn't do that. We finished one super, super fast. I was able to finish River Enchanted in, I believe, like a day and a half, 2 days. It's kind of a little bit of a beefier boy, but I was having such a good time. So we were following this guy named Jack as he returns to the like island where he was born and raised. He got shipped to the mainland when he was 10 or 11 to like start doing schooling and like become trained as like a bard, as like a musician kind of guy. And so he comes back home because he's been summoned. Someone like summoned him. And basically this island that he grew up on is divided into 2 kind of clans. And so on this island, like they have magic, but they have it like in different ways, if that makes sense. So the half of the island that he is from, people can use magic like to like make things and like do things, if that makes sense. And so they come like at a cost. So like he plays his music super well. That's where his magic goes. It comes at a cost to him. Like he physically is like feeling wary, he's feeling weakened. His mom weaves things, so she uses her magic to weave like tapestries and stuff. And so that is where like her magic goes. And so yeah, she like gets tired from like doing it. And the other clan on the island is able to use their magic in the land. So they need like a conduit kind of thing for it to like go into the land. And that's how they're able to like grow their crops in the winter and like do all this other stuff. And so like, whereas like they have these magical items, these other people are able to like have like magical other things. And so basically that's like a point of contention. I don't know how to describe it any better. I'm describing it terribly. I'm going to edit all of that out actually. But basically these 2 clans have always been like against each other, whereas if they could just like unite, they would have magical everything and they just choose to not work together, which doesn't make any sense. But Jack gets summoned. He, comes, he's like, hey, like, what the heck is up? What's going on? Apparently these girls are getting kidnapped from their side of the island, and they're assuming that it's the rival like tribe, basically kind of like stealing their like people. Like they're snatching their people up is basically what is happening, which is kind of odd, kind of weird. But they think that Jack might be able to play his music to summon the ghost. His childhood nemesis is named Adira, and she basically is like the daughter of like the king and queen of the land. And her mom, who was the queen, has passed. And she used to be the person who like was playing all the music. Like she used to be the bard who summoned all the ghosts and got all the ghosts like on their side, doing stuff to help them out, working with them, that kind of thing. And so they need someone new to like play music to summon the ghosts. And so that's kind of why Jack gets brought in, is that they're like, hey, you play music good, summon ghosts. Which is kind of weird, but also I like. And so they decide that like that's what they're going to do. They start off with the water ghosts, and they go to the land ghosts, and there's like air ghosts and like all this stuff. And so they're summoning these spirits of the land to like see if they can like tell them anything. And these ghosts are super elusive, like super nonchalant, super like not our problem kind of stuff with these ghosts. And so they decide like, okay, like that's fine. Like we'll just keep going. And so in the meantime, Adara is working like on forming a bridge between the two like clans. Like she's like, hey, this has been stupid. We've been fighting over these things for like literally no reason. Like we should come to a peace treaty. And so the ruler of the like other tribe is like, oh yeah, for sure. Like you can come. And he assumes that there's like a king and a queen because he's only heard about a king and queen. They don't know the politics of the other clan. And so he assumes that like she has a husband, and he's like, yeah, like you and your husband are welcome to come. And she's like, wait a second, good old buddy Jack, come be my husband, and we're gonna go over to our neighbors and hang out. So it ends up being a marriage of convenience. I was very happy about that. I loved it. I was eating that up because like he low-key was like down bad for her. Like he had a crush on her, and she was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna bully you, which like good for her. And so like that's kind of like how they ended up being like childhood like nemesis and like rivals, is because like he just had like such a big insufferable crush on her, and she thought that he was annoying. But like now that they're adults, she's the one who's like, hey, you grew up and you got hot. Like that was kind of the vibe. And I just thought that they were really fun together. I thought they were really good. Jack is like a little too like level-headed and like reasonable and rational for his own good, whereas Adara is kind of the one who's like, she's got big dreams, she's got big thoughts, she's got plans, like she wants to like get something done. She wants to make sure that like her time as a ruler is super impactful and super important. And so like he is the one who's kind of like trying to reel her back, and she's kind of reminding him of like, well, we're not doing this for nothing. And so you get multiple points of view. You get the point of view of Jack and Dara. You get the point of view of his little sister, because he has a little half sister. You get the point of view of the leader of the guard, who's Andara's cousin, and his wife. And so you get a bunch of point of views. You see kind of like how this is all unfolding, these like different points of like two people seeing the same thing, but like perceiving it a little bit differently, or two people reacting to the same situation just a little bit differently, and kind of where that leads everyone on the island. This is the first in a duology. So I'm super excited to pick up the next book in the series, like literally whenever. Like I could put it on the TBR next time I make a TBR because it's already out. So I don't have to worry about like waiting around for another book. I absolutely love that. So this one, I did give it a 4.5, which is part of why I was like, I think I'm going to change my rating for Long Live Evil. But I think I was like a little bit too like gung-ho about that one. Whereas this one, I'm only giving it a 4.5 because I feel like it took a little bit too long for the marriage of convenience part to take place, since that does end up becoming like a big point of the story. It doesn't happen until about halfway through. So the first half is really just setup of the world and kind of understanding like why Jack came, where he went, like that kind of stuff. Whereas I feel like if they would have led a little bit more with the like, hey, I'm trying to reunite our clans, let's get fake married so that way they invite both of us and then we can both figure it out. I think if they would have led with that a little bit more and then explained a little bit more of the world building as we went, I think that could have caught my attention more. And I also will admit that Rebecca Ross has very, very flowery, kind of like poetic writing. And so like she won't just say like they sat in the blue room and had tea. Like she will literally like go on and on and have like 2 paragraphs about how blue the room is and I can see the ocean from the room and it doesn't compare to how blue the ocean is. And then she'll describe the tea and the teacup and the plate. So like it was just a little bit dragged out. Like I think that if she had less flowery writing, and like flowery writing is fun, I was having a good time, but if she had just a little bit less of a flowery writing style, I do think this could be like the duology could just be one bigger book, and I wouldn't have been mad about that. So like I think we could just par down the floweriness of it. Had it be like 50% less flowery, we would have been fine. But overall, really liked it, really enjoyed it. I do think that it leans on the side of kind of like a like folksy folklore kind of thing, because you do get so much of like what the spirits of the land kind of like are feeling, and like the spirits of like where they are. And so I do think it kind of leans into that really well, and it's super fun. And I know some people don't love that kind of thing, but I was having a good time. So these last 2 books I actually finished while I was on my work trip, and like kind of wrapped them up like simultaneously just a little bit, just because, Well, first and foremost, my AirPods died, like while I was like on the flight. So I decided like, oh, okay, like let me go ahead and just like pull up my like other book that like I don't have the audio book for. Cause like if I have an audio book for it, I'm just gonna do the immersive reading. So I had another book like already downloaded on my Kindle. So I was like, okay, like let's go ahead and just like read this one. I ended up reading like way more on the flight than I thought that I would. So I ended up kind of just like not really tandem reading them and not like really reading them at the same time, but just like flip flopping depending on if I was doing immersive reading or not. And then I did end up immersive reading like the very end of the second book just because like I was really tired and I was like, I really want to finish this book. I want to be done. Because like the first like 150 pages flew and the second like 100 and probably 200 pages was kind of like meh. But let me tell you like which books they were in like the order. So first book that we read on the work trip was Here for the Wrong Reasons. This one is by Annabelle Paulson and Lydia Wang. We're following two dating show contestants who end up falling in love with each other instead of with our main male character. I ended up giving it 4 stars. We are following, I believe her name's Kristen. Yeah, Kristen is the country girl. Lauren is the like kind of pretty girl. So Kristen like knows that she's a lesbian. Like she knows she's only attracted to girls. She's had like a boyfriend in the past who was a gay man that she went to high school with, that they pretend to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And then she decided after college that she wants to focus on like having an influencer career. She wants to focus on kind of like building like a following, being an influencer, like that kind of thing, doing lifestyle content. And so she decides to go on this dating show to kind of build her fan base. She figures there's other people doing it. There's tons of people here. Like, there's no way I'm going to get picked. There's no way I'm going to make it far. Whereas our country girl, Kristen, she comes from like Montana. She comes from the kind of like rodeo cowgirl kind of scene. And so this is really her first time of like being in a relationship, of like pursuing that. Like she's had boyfriends in the past, she's had hookups in the past, but like she's never really like gone far with it. Like they've only been like boyfriend, girlfriend, and title. They've only like kissed a little bit. And so like she's never really done this like whole full commitment thing. And she decides like I might as well like jump in the deep end. And so she goes ahead and signs herself up to be on this show to find love. Well, as we're going through it, they end up making it relatively far in the show. And at one point, they end up getting like kind of stuck as roommates. I don't want to like give the whole book away, but like it kind of is like, wait, how are they doing this? They're getting followed by cameras around like the whole time because like it's reality TV. They're literally not left alone like almost ever. But they end up getting it set up as roommates for like part of the journey. And that's when they realize they actually have a lot more in common than they originally expected. And that's when Kristen kind of comes to this realization of like, oh, maybe like the reason why it hasn't felt fulfilling, why I haven't actively pursued like men more in the past is because I am more attracted to women. And she's like never had like let herself think about that. And then Kristen, obviously being a lesbian, but being on this show, she kind of has to like play it up. And so the main reason why I gave it 4 stars is because the first like third is really just like them being on the dating show at the same time. Like we're getting the dating show, we're getting all of the stuff, but like they're not interacting. They're not hanging out. They have like a perception of the other. Like Lauren thinks that Kristen is like super cute. She thinks she's adorable. She really likes her. She wants to be friends with her, but like doesn't really have any like other kind of opinions or thoughts on her because she doesn't know enough about her. Whereas Kristen thinks that Lauren is like super stunning, super gorgeous, but also scary. She like thinks she's like a mean girl kind of situation. And so she's like a little bit scared to get close to her, a little bit scared to like ruffle her feathers and like be on her wrong side because she makes snarky comments about the other girls. But like Lauren's really just playing this character and Kristen's just kind of like getting like the aftermath of this character that Lauren's putting on to make it further in the show. Because like it's not good if you're first out. So Lauren's out here making these comments because she wants to last a little bit longer and like be seen as kind of like a fan favorite or like the funny girl in like the show. And so that was like my main gripe with it is just that like a good 100 pages is just like watching a dating show before they actually like have a moment alone, before they actually get time to connect, before they actually get to the good part, I feel like. Whereas like usually in like a rom-com or something like this, like they meet each other and then like you're following them being together. There was like a lot of setup and like not as many secondary characters as I was expecting. I kind of figured like, oh, they're in like a dating show. So like obviously the guy is one of the secondary characters. Obviously there's a producer who is, you know, like following them around, who's like doing their little interview things. But like I thought that there would be like a ton of the other dating show contestant women that they focused on. And they kind of do in the very first bit of it. Like you get these sound bites of like their like interviews. And there are a ton of girls at the beginning. Like you get a bunch of like their like little profiles of like who they are, where they're from, why they like want to date this random guy. I think his name's like Zach or Josh or something. I already kind of forgot. Josh. It is Josh. Haha. But like why they want to date Josh and like all this stuff. And so like you get a bunch of those profiles, but you only actually hear the times that these girls are interacting with them. So like obviously you can't interact with all 30 women in like 2 pages. So you really only hear the girls that like get interacted with by these two. And I feel like that also kind of helped make it make a little bit more sense. And then I also feel like the very end was a little bit unrealistic. Like, not to like give anything away, but the guy that they were both like fighting over because Lauren didn't really want him. But the guy that they're fighting over is the one who like makes sure they get together in the end. He's the one who was like, wait a second, you guys were really great together. Like you should date. And I was just kind of like, what? Like, shouldn't he be mad? I kept being like, I feel bad for Josh, which like as a man hater, it takes me a lot to sympathize with them. So I felt like almost bad for Josh. I was like, oh, like you want them to be together, like, but it also was kind of like cute that he was like, you guys are better together, and I was like, oh, okay, that is nice. But overall, I did enjoy this. Again, gave it a 4 stars. Had a pretty good time. Just wish that we cut out the times that they weren't really interacting with each other at all, just a little bit, just trim it down, because I think they go through like 3 group dates before they interact, like fully interact, like besides like a passing comment. So I feel like that was like just the part that I was kind of like, okay, like maybe 1 or 2 group dates, and maybe that could like make a little bit of sense. But I don't need to meet all of the girls and hear all of the girls' personalities before you guys. Because the main reason why I knew that they were the two that were going to end up together, besides the fact that their names are on the back of the book, is because those were the point of views we were getting. But like, if it would have been like one of those ones where it's like you get all the people's points of views, I would have been like, I don't know who's getting together. Because that's kind of where it went in the beginning. It took a minute to get into it, a minute to root for them as a couple. So overall, 4 stars. I had a pretty good time. So the second book that I ended up reading on my trip to my work event was The Summer of Broken Rules. This one's by K.L. Walther. And this one I gave a 4.25 stars. I liked it just a hair more than Here for the Wrong Reasons, even though the end kind of like trailed off for me a little bit. But in this one, we are following our main character, Meredith, who is going to her grandparents' kind of like farm countryside land on Martha's Vineyard. And they used to do this every year. This used to be like an annual big family trip where like all of her aunts, uncles, cousins, like all got together. But they did not go last year because her sister had passed away. And so they took a year off, and now they're back at it again to be with their family during her cousin's wedding. Her cousin's getting married. So her cousin was like, hey, like it would mean a lot if your family came. And if you know, like come do like all of the stuff that we used to do previous summers. And so Meredith and her family come. They're having a good time. Like things are crazy with family and stuff. And then the couple getting married announced that to honor their cousin who can't come, Meredith's sister, because she's passed, they want to play a game of assassin, because they used to play a game of assassin like every summer. And so they decide that they're going to go ahead and do assassin. Well, because there's so many people that aren't usually there, it's not just the family right now. It's obviously the groom side of the family came. So it's their regular family and then a bunch of random strangers. Meredith decides that she's going to work with the groom's stepbrother, and they're going to partner up. He's a groomsman. He knows that side of the family super well because it's partially his family. And so they decide they're going to kind of team up and figure out like who everyone is. They'll give each other pointers. They'll help each other kind of like set up on like how things usually are, these people's usual routines. And that part was super cute and super interesting. And then it slowly starts to trickle down. Like Meredith stops really caring about the game of assassin and starts to kind of like care about like other things and processing her grief, because she's kind of just buried it. And so I think that was part of why the second half was like weaker to me, is because Meredith is still grieving like the loss of her sister, which makes sense. Like she's an 18-year-old girl. Like, of course that stuff kind of sticks with you. But the main reason why I gave it a 4.25 stars is it felt super young and super YA. Like there was a point in time where she literally mentions that Wit, the MMC, her love interest, doesn't pick up his shoes. Like he's dragging his feet as he's like walking through like the path. They're like on some like hiking trail or something. And he's like shuffling his feet. And I was like, oh, that's so gross. Like I'm so sorry. But like, oh, if a man couldn't pick up his feet right now, no, it's a no for me, dog. Like I would immediately say take a hike and like leave him in the wilderness. I would have a miserable time. But Homegirl's vibing with it. Like I said, she's 18, so even though this is YA and like very obviously for that audience, like she's still an 18-year-old girl. So like there's underage drinking happening. She and Wit have like a more intimate moment. It's just kind of a fade to black, which like I do appreciate for YA. Like YA books should not have explicit content, but also kind of like, damn girl, like we're getting kind of wild for a girl who, you know, was just with a boy shuffling his feet and who, you know, like is playing assassin and is doing all these like, so it's kind of a dichotomy of like feeling like super young, but also feeling like older. And Meredith also has to like make the decision of like if she's going to actually go to college where she said she wanted to go to college. She's thinking about taking a gap year. There's like a lot of like big life changes that Meredith is having to come to fruition with. And I think that's also part of why grief ends up being a big thing in her storyline is because she doesn't have her sister like bounce that idea off of. She usually would ask Claire, her sister, like, hey, what should I do? But like that person's not there. And so I think that that was also like a good way for her character to kind of like power through at the very, very end. But I do think it just got a little bit boring. Like a lot of the side plots resolved by, I'm going to say by like the 2/3 mark, probably closer to halfway. I think that the very last side plot, besides Meredith getting her shit together, wrapped up like a little less than 2/3 of the way into the book. And then the last third is really just like her, like I said, getting her shit together, like figuring it out, like becoming an adult, even though like she's not a full adult. She just has to make like adultier choices and come into her own with that. So I liked that, but I also didn't like that. Does that make sense? It wasn't for me. I think maybe if I would have read this at like 16, 15, maybe that would have like hit harder. And like I would have been like, oh wow, like that was super cool. That was so good. But like as an adult who has already made those choices and has already like lived through that part of life, I'm just sort of like, girl, just rip it off like a band-aid. Just make a decision, just do it. So yeah, maybe just a little too young for me. But overall, like I said, 4.25 stars. So I liked it. So with that being said, those were all the books that we read in the month of February. Lots of romance, just like I had, you know, planned on and intended, but I also had 3 books left on the TBR when the month ended. So I just kind of scooched those on into March. I'm filming this on March 7th, I think. Hello? Yes. Yeah, I'm filming this on March 7th. So I have picked up the other books that I have not read for the month of February. I finished 2 of them. I'm in like the middle of the 3rd. So fingers crossed by the 8th, I will be like fully done with everything that was left over from the February TBR. The TBR that I put together for February, peak. Super awesome, amazing, great. I just like didn't get to all of it because I was just so busy and then I got sick and then I had the work thing. So it was just like a lot. But overall, I would say like a pretty okay month for reading. We had some softer ones towards the end of the month. Started off really strong, and we had a couple really strong ones like in the middle. So I think overall, an okay month for reading. But let me hold up the little stack, and we can take our cute little stack picture. Here we are with our little stack at the end. Oh, I'm holding it weird. Okay, there we go. Still not great, but like, okay. Here is our stack for the month of February. All the books that we read. Not a terrible month, but also not great. I'm really hoping that reading those 3 left over from the TBR won't screw me over for March. I think I'm doing more immersive reading in March than I've done any other month this year, though. So I'm really hopeful that that will help me power through and get books read super, super quick. But yes, here is all the books we read in February. If you make it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment the red rose emoji, the little rose emoji to go with Here for the Wrong Reasons, since that one has a super cute little rose on the spine. Even though in the book, it's not like The Bachelor where they give you roses. They give you a string. Yeah, I had to get creative with that. Couldn't get sued by The Bachelor. But yes, here we go with our cute little stack. Leave the rose emoji if you make it to the end. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. We're brave. We're a brave man. Is that my teeth? I don't think I do. Okay. The light is way too bright, isn't it? Where was I with story time? I already forgot. Oh, yes. Yeah, they are in order, except for the freaking book at the bottom. Cool. I love that Past Me cared enough to put the books in the right order, except for the very first one we read was at the very bottom. Like, okay, girl, thanks. But also what? We liked that one. That was our, I'm not going to lean over when I talk. So the next book that we picked up, I'm putting my arm down, was Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry was also in my songs that I think would be inspired by my favorite songs. Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry was, but basically we are following our FMC, whose name I already forgot. We are following Stella. I always forget everyone's names. My face switches. As much as I loved Cross the Line, or not Cross the Line. I did love Cross the Line. Oh, I don't think I can talk about the next two books before my camera dies. I'm going to turn this off. I'll be right back. So these last, again, I'm going to put my arm down. But they end up getting words because her summer, maybe that's why I had it stacked the way that I did at the very beginning, is like for structural integrity, because now I'm going to have to like flip it over again. This beefy boy got to be on the bottom because he's too big to be on the top. If you leave, I have a like reading chair in the corner of my like reading room, and I've had my 26 books to read in 2026 in that chair since I filmed that video in January because I keep forgetting to put them away. And so now my cat Pippa is like sitting with them. But you know what? Like at least one of us is using the chair because I don't usually use that chair, which is sad because I got it on like OfferUp for like $50 or something, and it's a really comfortable chair. It's spinny, and I did not think it was gonna like bother me that it's spinny because I've had spinny chairs before, but I don't love that it's spinny because I'll be like sitting there and reading, and then I'll be like, oh, I have to like get up and get a drink, and then it'll spin, and then I can't get up, and then I'm scared. So I don't love that. Or like I'll want to like shift positions, and then the chair will start just like spinning me. I don't like that. It's too spinny, I think is the problem. Because like this one, I have to like actually be like touching the ground and like force it to move. Whereas that one, like a shift in your weight will make it move. And I think that that's just too spinny for me. Pippa's not having any problems because Pippa weighs like 2 pounds. Right, Pippa? You're small. You're just a little girl. Hi, baby. I love you, Pippa. She's looking at me like I fucking hate you. Stop talking to me. Yeah? You want me to leave you alone? Okay, you can keep sleeping. I think she just wants to nap. Okay, so where was I going with this? Oh, yes.